Test. Got a new phone. I'm not sure if I. You want to? Yeah, I'll text him now. I just texted him. He's still the chairman, right? He's still the chairman until after today, right?
This.
Kennedy.
Yes, it's changed. I mean, it's technically now, but.
Oh, it starts now. I thought they voted in.
Change over.
Okay, right. For the next meeting. Long time.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, granddaughter.
I have granddaughter on the way and 4 boys now. Well, I didn't have a grandkid till last year, remember? You took me
Yeah.
last day. 2 daughters had kids born within 10 hours.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm Dave. Sean?
Yes.
Dave Kennedy. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Trespass County study. That,
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen that or?
Did he, is that the one he sent to us? Oh, well, he sent us one. Okay.
That's
see
the
this one.
state. I said
Okay.
The state, this is the Fairfax County.
Okay.
Because I sit on the board there, so
Okay.
that's for cabs and you wouldn't believe it.
I was reading. He had sent down, Timothy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had sent out stuff, so I got a little bit caught up on what's going on, so. You know, we're switching also, right?
Yeah, next time I guess it's vote, do you vote today or something?
I think we're switching it in the middle of the meeting.
You're gonna have to do me some school on that. I've been on everyone, but I've never chaired it.
Okay.
Order.
We start.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. So this is the August 7th meeting of the Arlington County Trespass Towing Advisory Board. And my name's Dave Kennedy, and I'm the chair for about maybe 10 more minutes, and then it's going to shift over to Al's going to take over. And I just introduced my colleague. I'm the citizen representative on the TTAB. Al is the representative for the tow operators. And then our new member, Sean.
Yeah, Sergeant Blow, either one.
Sean McBluff.
Sergeant Blow.
Sergeant Blow. Sergeant Blow.
Okay.
Okay, Sergeant Blow is our representative from the Arlington County Police Department. So the agenda for today's meeting, and then I also want to introduce Mr. Perez. Timothy Perez is new to this, to the county, or just new to this duty? Both. Okay. Well, he's the one who kind of keeps us honest and will do a few things to administrative things today and be our resource. So the first thing I want to do is review the October 2024 minutes. We last met on, I don't have the exact date, but we were together in October of 2024. Actually, I do have the October 3rd, 2024. And that was a very substantial meeting because in that meeting is where the TTAB approved the new permitting system / county ordinance specific to towing regulations in the county. Just a few highlights from that meeting since it's been quite a while since we met. Again, the focus of the meeting was proposed ordinance changes to the Arlington County Code as it relates to towing in private lots. We spent a lot of time, most of the time we spoke about the permitting system, the new proposed permitting system, and the new proposed appeal section of the proposed ordinance. The intent of the meeting was for us to approve these new regulations and then send them to the county board, which the county board then discussed and ultimately accepted in December of 2024 at a county board meeting. We worked from a proposed ordinance at that meeting, and the TTAB put forth certain recommendations. One did stand out, which was not accepted by the county board, and that was in any situation where there was a potential revocation of a tow operator's permit to do business in the county, we unanimously proposed to the county board that the TTAB should be involved in that process. That was rejected by the county board, as were a couple other things that we had proposed. Right before the December 14th meeting, where the county board voted on the new ordinance, there was a public comment period that was open to all of us, to all residents of the county, where we were encouraged to provide comments on this proposed ordinance. I actually wrote a letter on behalf of me as the chair of the TTAB, trying to reiterate, or I did reiterate, a lot of the things that we had talked about as a TTAB. Again, having the TTAB involved in if there was a decision to revoke an operator's permit, and a couple other things. That letter that I wrote to the county board, again, I wrote it to represent what I felt as a TTAB we were very focused on as an item to advance the ordinance, to do it in a way that just add other safeguards and fairness to the ordinance, to address some of the concerns that had come up across our board. That's pretty good recap. Hopefully it's a pretty good recap of our meeting in October and then what proceeded up through December 14th when the county board approved the new ordinance. And with that said, I'm going to ask one of my colleagues to make a motion to accept the October 2024 minutes.
Accept.
So, okay.
I'll make the motion second.
Second, okay, so the minutes from the 2024, October 2024 meeting are accepted. Next, I'll do a, before I officially turn this over to Al, I will just go through a quick review of the agenda for today's meeting. So our next item will be to officially transfer the board chairperson position from myself to Al. After we do that, Timothy, are you going to then lead us in a PowerPoint presentation? Okay. And then we'll, after that, we will open up the floor to public comments. And then after that, if we have any recommendations that we want to make to the county board, we will vote, the three of us will open the motion and the three of us will vote on any recommendations we want to deliver to the county board. And then finally, we'll do next steps and adjourn the meeting. So with that said, you ready to hit in the hot seat?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'll switch.
Yeah, I think we have to. I do want to say, I see a Detective Toomey in the audience. I want to thank you for your service on this board and helping us over the past 3 years since I've been doing this. So thank you.
So what's the next
I
step?
think it's actually, we're turning it over to, we're getting the presentation.
Okay.
All right. So everybody can see, you guys have the up on your screen. Okay. All right. So we're going to do a brief walkthrough of the trespass towing fees. Just a quick table of contents here for this slide deck. We're going to review the recent changes to the state code that were just passed. Then we'll move into the current fee structure for Arlington County. And then we will go to towing fees, just a brief overview of the surrounding jurisdictions within Planning District 8. And then we'll discuss a recent 2024 Virginia State Corporation Commission report on the regulation of towing fees. And I'll just kind of summarize everything up. Again, that report is kind of the backbone for the changes that were made to the state code recently. Yeah. So the state code was recently amended. The hookup fees, the minimums were not changed. So the minimum is still $135, but the maximum for the initial hookup and towing fee is now $210 statewide. The overnight and the weekend / holiday fees did not change. Those are still $30. And again, that third bullet point, in no such event shall more than 2 fees be charged at any time. So the max you can do is $60 for one of each of those $30 fees. And then the fuel surcharge that towers were allowed to charge over the past year, that has expired and that was not renewed. So as of July 1st, 2025, towers are no longer allowed to charge a fuel surcharge. So yeah, Arlington County's towing fees. The hookup and initial towing fee for a vehicle with a gross vehicle weight of 7,000 pounds or less is still $135. That has not increased since 2014. The towing charge for towing overnight between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. is still $30. Towing on Saturday, Sunday, or holidays is $30. And then the in lieu of towing or a drop fee is $20. As you can see, this table here demonstrates the surrounding jurisdictions. Arlington County, along with the city of Falls Church, as of July 1st, they are the only two jurisdictions within this district that still charge $135 initial hookup fee. Everyone else has raised it to $150, or the jurisdictions do not regulate trespass towing, and in that case, the towers can charge up to $210. So essentially, those counties have the state rate as well. And just a quick note, we do have confirmation that Fairfax County's Trespass Towing Advisory Board did vote to increase the towing max to the state rate. They're still moving that through the proper channels. But right now it is still 150 in Fairfax County, but they are working to push to make it 210. So yeah, like I said, we're going to discuss this commissioned report that the state SCC had done last year. The entire report was provided to all three board members about 3 weeks ago for them to be able to review the report in its entirety on their own. Tonight, we're just going to kind of recap some of the primary points behind the report. Basically, it was a comprehensive analysis of towing fees as they relate to changes for inflation, consumer price indexes, operating costs as those have risen over time that the towers also face. So the report in 2024, maximum allowable rate was 150 for the state of Virginia. The report's findings said that a new trespass tow rate between $210 and $200 and $210 appear reasonable. And those are based again on transportation, consumer, and producer price indexes, operating costs, and comparison to other states in the country that regulate trespass towing. There we go. Also, that report did find that based on all those different indexes, no change to the late night or weekend and holiday fees were justified at the time. So they did not recommend raising those fees. The report also did recommend to make for the minimum fee that towers are allowed to charge for the state in Planning District 8, that should be, they recommended using a fixed percentage of 75% of the state approved maximum. So for the state's maximum 210, 75% of that is $157. Another thing that was discussed in the report showed that 96% of counties across the state either allow for the maximum rate allowed, or they do not regulate trespass towing in the county, which means that towers within those counties are free to charge up to the state rate if they so choose. So there's a graphic that just demonstrates again, 96% of the counties in Virginia either don't regulate or allow for the state rate. If you break it down by cities, about 57% allow for the state rate from independent cities in the country or in the state as well. And then based on a national average comparison of the other 19 states that regulate trespass towing. A towing fee of 200 to 210 appear to be reasonable as well. So when based on a maximum of $150 for initial hookup and tow, if you were to go off of the Transportation Consumer Price Index, that recommended a state rate max of $198. The Transportation Producer Price Index recommended 209. And then at a 4% inflation rate, modeled $189 for initial towing fee. And so basing as well, the report did a analysis on tow operator costs and recommended that allowing for a 15% profit margin, which is moderate risk for the business, and making a model based on a tower towing 1,560 tows a year or 130 tows a month, based on their operating costs and allowing for, again, a 15% profit margin. The cost per tow should be $205 as well. So again, in summary, the state maximum hookup rates changed to 210 effective July 1st. The fuel charge also expired. Arlington County is set at 135. Again, this has not increased since 2014. Only one out of the other 8 jurisdictions in our planning district has a $135 fee. And then 96% of counties in the state either do not regulate towing or allow for the state maximum. And based off of the state's commission report, a towing fee of $200 to $210 appears to be fair, basing off of operating costs, consumer price indexes, things of that nature. And then again, the report did suggest, this was not adopted by the state, but the report did suggest that if there was to be a minimum price, that should be at least 75% of the maximum, which would be $157.50. Arlington County's current fee of $134 for reference is 64% of the state maximum rate. And then just another final asterisk, everything in this PowerPoint slide deck is not the opinion of the Arlington County Board or the staff coordinator for the Trespass Towing Advisory Board. It is simply here for the Trespass Towing Advisory Board's review on the matter.
Are we in public comment or?
Well, we first want
Okay.
to discuss
Your
any
tone,
of
please.
this. Anything came up in that presentation or other issues.
The reason why I called this, first of all, I want to thank you for all your help. I know your last day's tomorrow. I don't know if you knew that,
Oh, I didn't.
but thank you for all your help. And we're I appreciate you getting this meeting together because when we lost the fuel surcharge, we lost all profit. And so that's why we were so in a hurry to get in front of the TTAB and to hopefully get to the board as soon as possible. And that's going to be my next question, is when we can get in front of the board with all our recommendations, if you have that information. Or
I don't at this time, but I'm still here for the next 24 hours, so I can try and find out, and I'll get in touch with you for that.
all right. And then, all right. Well, and the second thing, as you know, I sit on the Fairfax County Board, and one of the accountants, and the lady, she's an economist for Fairfax County, did a study. They started off for the cab company, and she did it on their insurance, their fuel, their overhead, everything but storage. From 24 to 25, from 24 to 25 with the CPI index and the Bureau of the Census Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the towing back in 2021, and I brought that in there, should have been $188 and $182.99. That's just for the towing, nothing to do with storage, nothing to do with administration fee. They did a statewide study, as you know, the SEC is funded by Richmond and funded by the state, that came up with the 210. The 210 across the board for the whole state. So people down in Farmville, people in Roanoke, people who are storing in barns and gas stations are getting 210. We live in zone 8, which is the highest in Fairfax County and Arlington, the highest cost of living. And we're getting, 45% less than they're getting there. And that's why I called for this meeting, because my friends and the friends I've had for years in the towing industry, when they lost the $20 fuel surcharge, like I said, they lost all profit. They tow 1,000 cars, they lose $20,000. One company over here towed 2,000 cars, lost $40,000. And it just, they can't survive. They have to tow more cars because they're getting less money. When I sat on this board, and I've met with a lot of board members from Arlington County, they wanted to clean it up. They keep saying Fairfax, Fairfax, Fairfax. We cleaned it up in Fairfax, long story short. 47,000 tows, they had 3 legit complaints. 2 of them were signs and 1 of them was an overcharge. They have meetings. The people can come to the meetings if they have any complaints, and we fix it. Since then, Arlington County has implemented the permit system. Again, you have all the power. Not you. Arlington County has all the power to suspend our license, to pretty much to put us out of business. But still, they'd rather starve us and not give us a raise, or go by the state, the SEC study and the Fairfax County study. We've met with the Attorney General. I talked to him this morning. He's going to get involved now, because he's worried how that we've been treated. The towers have been treated. And, we want to get in front of the board. We want to get the state rates. We've complied with your signs, the regulations. We're giving you personal information on our contracts now. We're giving Arlington County all this. We've done everything. Anything that you've wanted, we agreed to. We lose our fuel surcharge, and then we have to fight to get a raise. And we do all this hard work. Thank you for everybody on the board, and we do all this hard work, and the board members don't listen to us. They don't hear from us. We go in front of the boards and they just do what they want to do. They just say, oh, no, you're not going to get it. We don't want towing in Arlington County. Well, as you know, they might get what they wish for, because how long did it take you to sign anybody up? I think you had 1 tower. It was Tuesday, right? I mean, yeah. I can't afford to tow in Arlington County. That's why I'm not here. There's 3 towers in here that don't want to tow, because, you lose money. You can't lose money when you're in business. And, we have problems with signage. Now they want to change the signs. The state code used to be that you had to have a sign in each entrance. Now Arlington County wants a billboard every 20 feet, It would be common sense. You need to put a sign when you turn into the project, not 20 feet down the road. People are worried about driving. They're not worried about looking 20 feet in the parking lot. They look at the signs when they pull into a 7-Eleven or when they pull into a Kentucky Fried Chicken. Complaints are down. The raises. The study they did was between 21 and 24. By the time I get a raise, it's going to be 26. So again, right now, we're 14 years without getting a raise. But once we get in front of the board, and if we get a raise, we're 2 years behind it again. The state is going to do it. We get a cost of living, the CPI index, that just like they do your taxes or your raises or your county officials, that we should get a raise with this. So we don't have to always be behind 2, 3, now 14 years. Fairfax County, long story short, they're taking their drop fee to $80 now. Is what we voted on. $80. The administration fee, which the state and the federal government make us have a administration fee. If the vehicle is not picked up within 72 hours, we have to send out certified letters to the owner, lien holder, if in the military, to the military. And if they're in different states, we have to do that. Just the cost of sending that stuff out through postage cost us $48. Has nothing to do with paying our, the people in our office and what we pay with our rates. So Fairfax County, finally, they did the study and they know what it costs to operate a business. So I'm hoping that we can go in front of the board and that we can talk to them and have some common sense and help us to, if we tow more if we get paid more, we don't need to tow more cars. If you cut our rates again, of course, to stay in business, to pay your rent and to pay your truck payments, you got to tow more vehicles. It's like, hot dog vendor, if you cut the prices, you got to sell more hot dogs to make your paycheck. I think that's about it unless I'm missing anything, but, I just want to, say thank you for getting us in front and getting this meeting as soon as you can. And, please get us on the board as soon as possible so we can get a hearing and get this settled. Thank you.
Do we know how many operators there now are that have permits? The permitting system is active, right?
Yeah, so we, yeah, so six tellers, 6 out of 8 tellers have put applications in. We have one at Alice Point, did decide there's a top operator. That's tough.
Okay.
But nobody actually has their permit.
Okay.
One other thing, Mr. Kennedy, you said you wrote a letter to the board.
Yes.
Did you get a response?
Well, what the letter I wrote was on December 11th before the December 14th meeting. And I actually came to the December 14th meeting and presented the letter. And we actually had kind of known the writing was on the wall. Some of the things that we had agreed as a TTAB, the county board was not prepared to accept. As a consumer representative, the citizens representative on this board, I have to be cautious about, and I try to put my shoes in I try to put myself in the shoes of Joe Citizen, who right now is, if he's towed, pays $135. Is that posted on the signs, most of the signage? So we don't, okay. Actually, it'd probably be a good thing if that was posted on the
They
signage.
have it at the offices. We haven't.
Yeah.
The receipts of it.
Okay. So I'd like to, if I'm Joe Citizen now, I think it would be helpful if I saw that, just to know what my risk was if I was, then I'm gonna, how carefully I need to look at that sign. I think all of a sudden, if it's public knowledge that it's now $210 and the tow operators, hey, I've made friends by meeting you all, but tow operators probably in general aren't the most popular people. So all of a sudden it's 135 to 210. I think there's a negative reaction to that. So, I mean, I'm like I say, I'm just Joe Citizen right now. Because I've been on this board, I've learned about your business
Both sides, yeah.
and the cost of doing business. And obviously that even at the state level, there's been good work to get at the numbers. So I'm generally supportive of what you're proposing, but the county board obviously is the decision maker. And I think in order to have a fee increase, there has to be, the permitting system has to work, bottom line. Because if there's again, the reason I'm on the citizens, that I'm sitting in this chair is because I was towed and I got pissed off and I pursued, retribution without wanting to go to court. And ultimately it brought me here. So people are going to get towed and pay $210 and not going to be happy. There has to be, and sometimes I'll just name it sometimes there's both perception and reality. There are bad tows. There are tows. I think my tow was a bad tow. I felt like I saw the tow operator. I said, "What are you doing?" And man, that guy was moving fast and drove away.
So I don't know if this is actually
Yeah,
the
just
appropriate
you'll have-
time to
you guys will have
get into
time.
this. I think if you guys would like to discuss.
Well,
based
I
on-
want to continue. I think as we can continue,
I
this,
don't-
I'm
yeah.
trying to lead up to a point.
Okay, so I don't necessarily know if Mr. Kennedy, that your personal situation pertains to what we're here to discuss tonight, but I do think.
I'm
that
getting
what-
to a point though. I'll get to my point. I'll
Okay, so
stop.
I'll
the
just say that I
personal.
think you guys can use the what was discussed, the report that was provided to you guys, as well as the information that was provided from Fairfax County by Al, and discuss if you guys.
I think what I'm saying is
To raise the
I think what I'm saying.
Mr. Kennedy, if you don't mind, real quick, I'd like to make a proposal to raise the rate to 210, which is state minimum.
Second,
Well,
but I mean,
we should go. I think our TTAB recommendations come at the end.
Okay.
No,
all right.
item number 7.
All right.
So we
go ahead,
need
go ahead and
to
finish, and
public
then
comments.
I'll tell what we
Okay.
talked about, but yeah, finish and. yeah,
I do think what I'm saying is relevant because I do think we are gonna get to a vote on this.
Okay.
And I, as a citizens rep, am going to make a thoughtful vote. And I think, and maybe I'll just wait. Maybe I'll just continue when we get to the vote. Does that sound all right? Yeah, that's good.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Kennedy, the other gentleman that was before, same thing, he got on the board because he got towed and he felt like he was mistreated. I've met with all the city board members, and there's one way to fix it. Have a quarterly meeting with the people that are mad they got towed. Us three decide if the tow was in the right and the wrong. You were upset, you said, because the county didn't do anything to help your cause when you were mad and the tower didn't anything. This would solve all the problems like we did at Fairfax County. We had the same problem with Fairfax County. Everybody, out of 47,000, I think they sent out, it's a public address. First meeting, 3 citizens showed up. They complained. I remember I wrote them one check. Fred from Henry's wrote another check. Second meeting, 1 person showed up. Since then, in 6 years, we have not got one concerned citizen that showed up. Usually it's either because they don't want to take the time, or the others because they cooled down a little bit. But at least their complaints were addressed. And that's why Mr. Kennedy is upset, and he still is evidently. So, we want to fix that problem. There's 2 sides to every story. The towers, John O'Neill and Bill Mansour, said they would love to come here, and if they thought, if it was a 50-50 chance it might be wrong, to pay the money back. We're here to serve the community, and we're here to stay in the community, and we're here to make a living. And I've talked to the board, if they would do that, it would solve 99.9% of the problems. At $135, you got to go tow 10 times more car. At $210, our drivers are going to get more money. We're going to get better help. We're going to get health insurance. We're going to get 401ks, and we can tow less vehicles. It's economics. It's common sense, and that will happen. So.
Well, and a good permitting system is going to support that, because a good permitting system that has, number one, make sure the businesses that apply for the permit are legitimate.
Mhm.
Number 2, then a good appeal system when there are disputes, that there is a rational way to resolve disputes. And that was my experience, that there wasn't a rational way to resolve disputes. Now, I think the real, I don't know if it's a carrot or a stick, but the stick is if there's too many complaints against a tow company, they're going to be put on the spot. And I think that's a good thing. I think the tow company, the tow operator, needs to also be able to have their day in court to say, you're right, it's an emotional thing. And so, and I am cooled down. It's been, 3 years, but there has to be a process that the residents of the county can trust. And hopefully this permitting system is a system that the residents can trust. And I think the tow operators need to be on board that, and your input is still really important, but I think the tow operators have to be on board with this system also. And if the tow operators aren't on board with the system, then talking about rate increases really does become very difficult.
Well, like I said, I work for them kind of because I do a lot of private property in Arlington, but they are on board. They, we weren't happy about giving our contracts out because we feel like that's between us and, our vendors. But right now it's been voted on.
Yeah.
We could lose our license and our livelihood in any moment. We've had, he's retiring Friday, so who's going to answer the complaints after that? I think we've had, Mike, you gave me how many, 11 and how many? 10 in how many years? Yeah, I mean, it's just nobody wants to do the job because they don't want to do the complaints, and it would solve the problem if we did it. If we did the complaints ourselves, if us three or whoever has to be up here listens to it every quarter, and we could fix all the problems and all the complaints. You're not going to fix anything by adding another sign, adding another sign, adding another sign. And if you put a sign up for 130, the tow's $135, and if you put a sign up, it's 210, they're still going to do it no matter if it's 2010. If people are going to park illegally, and we see it every day. We have a credit card company that shows our vendors. We tow the same people 4 and 5 times a month. Same people, we impound their cars 4 and 5 times a month. They don't learn the lesson. They don't pay their parking fees. They don't pay their condo fees. They think that they're not going to get caught for parking there in an hour, and that's the world we live in. It's just fast paced. Arlington has all these restaurants, all these condos. Now they're having all these where you can have 2 houses on one property. The parking is just ridiculous. It's not going to get any better. Not everybody's going to ride a bicycle in Arlington County and Fairfax County. So, they need our business.
Well, the TTAB, we can do whatever we want as far as recommendations. To your point on the all the contracts that you have to provide to the county, one of the things I wrote in my letter was, and we talked about it, those should be, rather than requiring you to hand over 150 contracts, those should be available upon request. So if the county needs to see a contract, then they can ask you for it.
Agreed.
And that's the kind of thing that I think is, I tried to, that was one thing that I tried to jump on was, don't create all this new administrative burden for you guys. Again, as a TTAB, if there's something in the ordinance that was approved and is now on the books, and we as a board feel like that's excessive or whatever, we still, as a recommending entity, can say, tweak this language. So this is a new system. It's been in effective. Is it January 1st it became effective, or when did it become effective? Okay, so we're still in this new system, but there are probably things in this ordinance that still can be addressed. Obviously, the fees are important, but there might be 2 or 3 other things that we as a board, based on public comments, might say, hey, let's still, let's not let go of this one, because this one actually, and maybe the contracts is one to push back a little bit on.
And I agree. And the only thing I agree with, if the police officer or whoever the towing inspector is, if they need a copy of the contract, we should give it to them. I don't believe that we should give every contract. And now if they go on vacation, or if we change it, or if they change general managers, or they take property managers, we have to redo all that. And we're going to have to hire another staff member to do all the way it is now. We have to hire, well, I don't, they do, another staff member to do it. And that's just another cost of doing business. And, you know, I don't think we should give our contracts like they tried to show a contract to the citizen, because the contracts have people's names on it. In the day and age we live in, people, you know, they can go after the property manager, they can go after the property contractor, and go after the person that signed it. And it's just not safe. And, you know, when you move into a place, you sign bylaws, you sign leases, and it has all your regulations for parking and towing. Well, we'll get to citizens after this.
Public comment.
Yeah. I'm sorry. All right, I recognize you. Go ahead, John. I'm learning this, so yeah, yeah. Do we have to do that first, I would assume, or no? Or can I Oh, that,
Is it, I think questions are good, but is there a question or?
You say that they don't have access to that, that's not so. It was well, you guys said you heard that, it's a, I feel like, that's anybody. That part that, check from the back or. Contract, over it, and go to the first, different way, able to tap, and then it's. Violation for us. Exactly, it was better for it's a retribution. That's what I'm saying. The person that's not there with the car sign, they're still be standing there. Car. Below 87 years old.
thank you.
And we need to go back. Right there, after all.
Mr. O'Neill, I don't know if this is the forum to discuss this, but it's something I'll show you.
Thank you.
The fee issue, increase that. For every aspect of. Boston, I had work. Search on everything more than.
Well, and that's a great point. Thank you. And we gave Al's Towing, Henry's Towing, and a couple of other bigger towers gave our books to Fairfax County. Our insurances went up 33% real quick. Our fuel, you know, how much it's going up. The Fairfax County said, well, by legally, you have to have $750,000 worth of insurance. Now we have to have $3 to $5 million worth of insurance. Any property that we have, most of them are at least 3, most of them are 5. So my insurances went up from $210,000 to $320 in 24 months. So just, you know, just so you know that it's not, you know, every dime you make doesn't go. It's just ridiculous the way the cost of living is to operate a towing business. And we gave the books to the SEC, and that's when they came up with this rate. So that's why we can vote on it, hopefully, and we can have a we can have a vote. We can have discussion. If you're
I think that's good discussion. So, yeah, I'm good.
all right,
Sergeant Blow, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
then we can have our votes and
Well, yeah.
after, yeah. You want to? open it up to public comment, and I believe, was it 3 minutes or 5? 3 minutes? John? You want 3 minutes? Mike? Need to come up.
Yeah, I think they should come up because then we can hear it. I think they're recording it. So.
Mike Reynolds from A1 Towing. I got a couple of comments I wanted to touch on. I hadn't anticipated touching on this one, but since Mr. Kennedy mentioned it, the fees on the signs, it seems like a good idea in theory. But I think overall that would be a bad idea in practice. One reason would be every time the fee has changed, and it's changed, I don't know, 4 or 5 times over the past 15 years, we would have to go out and change every sign. I mean, it would just be an onerous burden. I could see, violations occurring because of that. The fee would be $10 less than it should be on some random sign that we missed. Somebody would make a complaint. We'd get a violation. It would count against our, violations that might cause revocation of permit. So I disagree with that. Fee increases should be based solely on costs that towers incur. I think the way that the state code is structured, I think fees should be commensurate with the cost that towers incur to perform that service, not based on behavior or other factors that are really irrelevant to costs and what would enable the tower to make a living and a profit based on that fee. So I disagree with that idea. The main thing that I wanted to touch on is something that occurred recently to us and a couple other companies. For the past 35 to 40 years, I think 39 years for A1 Towing, we have posted signs in the county. At some point, we started working closely with the police department because the police department was given the objective of responding to complaints if there were complaints about towing. And they would come out, the hack inspectors, and they would, if someone complained that a sign was not posted properly, they would look and see if that is the case. The code section that they would have to reference simply said signs had to be placed at the entrance. So the past 10 hack inspectors or police officers that we have dealt with over the past 20 years since they've been doing that have accepted or validated the sign placements for the most part as you see them. Sometimes they're right at the curb, which I don't particularly think is a great place. Sometimes they're just inside the curb a few feet. Sometimes they're inside a garage on a column or a wall as opposed to outside on a building. We were just violated or given a violation for one that was inside a garage on a column facing out. It wasn't out.
I don't know if can you do it twice? I'm not sure this.
So just to finish up on that, pretty much where you see us place the signs, where you will see most of them, we try to make them conspicuous, visible. But we were violated on one that previously, a year ago, was validated by another hack inspector and had been, in other cases at other properties by all the others. All of a sudden recently, in the past few weeks or months, there has been more scrutiny and maybe differing opinions. I don't know what's driving it, this new permitting process, but it's concerning to me because now if we're given a violation for that and the revocation of our potential revocation of our permit could be based on total number of complaints and violations based on those, that would be a big concern. If this is going to be the case, don't change the standards on which you're going to apply those violations and not notify us and give us time to comply. We're happy to do that if you want to start saying the signs have to be no more than 10 feet inside, or they have to be 6 feet up on the wall. Right now, it just says they have to be at the entrance. and the entrance has been deemed for the past 20 years up until the past few weeks in a variety of locations just inside the property. That's really the bulk of what I wanted to say. I'd like to see that issue, at least the drive to violate based on that issue, unless the sign is just completely not visible, tabled until some other set of standards or can be created, and we can be given those and given a year or two or whatever it is to comply if we've got to move these signs. I've got a lot of other issues, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, if we could, please, it might say some problem. I don't know, is this timer 5 minutes or 3 minutes? You got it, okay. Next.
New board, Al, appreciate you chairing the board. Sergeant, I appreciate the motion that you put forward. Thank you very much. And I have no ill will with you, Mr. Kennedy, whatsoever.
We're good.
I'm glad to be here. I feel like we're close. For a company and a livelihood that I started out 20 years ago, this past March, in 2006, Arlington adopted their tow ordinance. I sat closely with about 20 other stakeholders at that time. 3 police officers, 3 towers, there was a citizen, and a bunch of other property owners and homeowners association people that helped us formulate that code. Since its beginning and inception, I've always thought that that code, every single section of it was, nothing in it was good for the tower. It was all set up for the consumer, which I have no problem with. I never had a problem with regulation, law at all. That's what led me to open up my own company, get away from my former employer. We, over the years, obviously jockeyed for a pay raise. The beginning in 2006, we wanted to raise that fee for $10, 100 to 110. It was taken away from us at that very first meeting. In 2009, the county did raise its fee. It was the last time the county did raise the fee on their own. In 2014, the fee was increased to 125, and that's because they were forced to do so by the state. And that year, I went out trying to get Jay Facette and the board at that time to give us the after-hours fees, which we did not have. Our towing company, along with the others that were operating in Arlington County, were the only towers in the entire state of Virginia that I could find that were not getting the after-hours fees at all. Fairfax, every surrounding jurisdiction were getting them, not Arlington. That's what I set out to do, and we were denied again in 2014. I was advised by Senator Favola to take my case down to Richmond, which I did. I was also advised in 2014 that there would be a rate study done by Arlington County to figure out what a cost of a tow would be. That was never done. So when I took my case down in 2016 to Richmond, the legislation that I put forth in Planning District 8 to require those fees to be done flew through the House and the Senate. Majority in both sides came upon us and the governor signed it in our favor. That's what kind of started the Hetfields and McCoys between me and the board at the time. 2017, second signature try, I went down there to defeat that. But over the years, I've always tried to get to where it would be a fee that would cover my costs, just my costs. I've never had one. We've lost money every year. I had no problem sharing my P&Ls with the county. I gave some to Mr. Perez. He actually brought me off of that. And how much do I have left? Okay, thank you. So I stopped searching because the state, when it did its review last year, did a thorough job of that. If there's not any way that we are not afforded, or we are, I believe that we should get that fee, the 210. There's nothing to stop that. Arlington County is the most expensive place to do business with in the entire Commonwealth. There's no other place that's less. If you look at the county website, there are 9 listed towers. 8 of them are out of town, and I'm the only one here. There's a reason why I'm the only one here. I'm the only one here because you can't do business in the county unless you have the majority of the towing. And according to the police department, I believe I'm doing closely of the towing. That's the only reason we can stay. But I'm actually going into red every month. If it wasn't for my mother and some real estate that was left to me in my inheritance, along with getting crushed by a car and almost losing my life and getting a judgment, we wouldn't be open right now. We'd be closed. I'm funding our company to do that. When we lost the fuel surcharge in Richmond this past year, that is $32,000 to $40,000 a month of revenue that we don't have. If we were already in the red, guess where we're at now? We're way behind. I need this to get before the board and a judgment made by the board to increase the fee immediately. There's no way to get around it. That's how much we're losing every month. And we're gonna go into the red permanently this weekend. And we won't climb out until that's adjusted. So I truly appreciate your motion tonight. I truly appreciate all your work. Please recommend us to the board and please tell the board that this needs to get on their agenda immediately. Please, not the end of the year, as soon as possible. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Sir?
Boy with Pete Stone. I don't have a whole lot to say, but in general, it seems like this is the topic of discussion for this evening. I'm for a raise, and the money that we did take a loss on for the fuel surcharge, like John mentioned, it wasn't just for fuel. There was a lot of other things that were wrapped up in that as well, but that's just more or less where we got it as a fuel surcharge. I have noticed a dramatic difference, since it expired. And I agree with John as well. There's certain aspects where we're actually having to come out of pocket to fund, certain things, certain aspects of the business. And sir, I agree with you as well as far as permitting. I don't have a problem with that. There's a couple other jurisdictions that we work with, Alexandria, Fairfax, they have permits. I do believe Arlington's a little bit more extensive. We didn't have to submit all those things, but rest assured, as long as Arlington's on top of it, if somebody gets towed, they're going to investigate it. They're going to make sure it's justified one way or another. Al's even taken it a step further to have himself do it or bring it to you guys, but the detectives, they've taken care of it before. They do a good job with that. If they find that we're at fault, they'll let us know right away. Like, hey, you messed up here, give us a chance to make it right. It's unfortunate that you didn't end up getting yours justified, but rest assured, moving forward, there's other people that they will, they get towed. Some did wrong. Some are just making a complaint. We make mistakes too, if the tow company did something wrong, I know I'd be more than happy to make it right. But I'm all for the raise. I really am. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? The boss.
Hi, Gina Mullins, Advanced Towing. I don't know if any of you guys know, but I just not recently, but in 2022 had breast cancer. 2 months ago, I broke my ankle. Before that, I need an ultrasound on my breast because there's another lump. Guess who doesn't have health insurance? Because we can't afford it. Everyone in this room, I'm sure all the board members have health insurance. They don't have to worry about their kids having health insurance. I have none. We need this money. And it's not based on what they know. If they know it's higher, they won't do it. Because I promise you, that guy speeding down the road is not worried about how much his ticket's going to be. It's based on cost. Your groceries are based on cost. Your gas is based on cost, not what people see on a sign. So please give us this raise.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Mike, you want to?
Sorry, guys, I'm not trying to bombard you, but I just had a couple of comments. I don't think it'll take long. I just want to point out, which I think may have been pointed out in prior meetings, that the fuel surcharge that the state gave us, the $20 fuel surcharge, which was a sunset bill, was originally submitted as a tow fee increase. Basically, what we're asking for now with the 210 was not a fuel surcharge. It was not called a fuel surcharge. It was a tow fee increase. In the course of the bill going through the House and the Senate and getting the account of whether we were going to get votes to approve it or not, it was suggested that the bill be called a fuel surcharge to pass it. That's not what it was. It's not what it is. I want to point it out because the fuel prices are not particularly astronomical. I wouldn't call them cheap, but it's erroneous. It was erroneous to call it a fuel surcharge. It was not a fuel surcharge. It was a fee increase. The only way that they could get it passed politically at the time was to change the name of the bill, which was done. And what I wanted to say ultimately about it is you can't kick the can down the road every time, an issue of a fee increase comes up. Politically, it's a hot potato. I understand if I was in politics, you have to weigh whether that's going to be good or bad for you. But the fact is increases need to take place. We're probably the smallest fee regulated business. I mean, we're small, just like most plumbers or other contractors, landscapers. We're not a big utility entity. And so when these chances to get an increase come up, we need to have them done on a timely basis. All of our other similar colleagues in those other industries, they can raise their prices as needed in small amounts, weekly, monthly, as costs go up. It takes us 6 months, a year, 2 years to get these things done. So we come up here and we seem pretty stressed about it. And that's the reason why. It's not that we're trying to get exorbitant increases, but it takes a long time and there's a lot of resistance. What else? Yeah, and I think you're down to a handful of towers, as you mentioned. I've watched this dwindle in the county that can serve the county. That's going to dwindle even more. The tow lots are astronomically expensive, $4 to $5 million for one that'll hold 100 cars. Ours holds 100 cars, roughly. Advanced, I think, holds 40 cars door to door. That's probably $4 or $5 million for that lot. You've gotten to the point which we've warned the county about for many years, where you're just not going to have enough people to really serve the county properly. So I hope they give us the fee that will allow us to do it as best we can, as long as we can. That's it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anyone online is? Okay.
I'd like to say one more thing. When I worked with the gentleman that did this, the State Corporation Commission, and on the study, we gave him our car count and he gave us this rate on every car getting picked up. Every car doesn't get picked up. I think 92% of the vehicles that I tow, I think Dominion was about 90 to 91% get picked up. That 10% of the cars that we never get paid for, we have to take them to the salvage yard. We have to store them 45 days. We have to send out $48 worth of certified letters. Then now that they want us to hold them for 60 days because if they're military, we don't get paid on every car that comes through the lot. And it is a burden to scrap them, sell them, auction them, or whatever it is. And there's just many factors in being in our business. And I just would like to, me and Mr. Kenny, we talk about it all the time. You have to be a little more educated, riding the tow truck and see what we go through and come to our storage yards. But I just want to thank you all for coming. And I guess we can move away from public comment, and if anybody else has anything they'd like to discuss. All right. So I guess we move to the next steps would be to vote on some recommendations, correct?
Yeah, just once again, I would like to make a proposal to raise the fee to $210.
Is Sergeant Blow
Yes.
before we vote on that?
Oh.
Because could I raise a couple other because I know we're going to vote on
Okay.
that. I just have a couple
Okay,
two
yeah.
other things I'd like to add to our recommendations.
Okay.
And I'm actually, because I've heard this and it's something I commented on again in this letter I wrote on December 11th. There were 5 things I commented on December 11th. One had to do with second signature, 10-minute waiting period, a lot of that. Anyway, I presented this at the county board meeting. I think it's a interesting discussion, but one to let go of for now. A second thing I brought up at the county board meeting, also my letter, was the boot fee. And again, after hearing some of that conversation, let go of that. 2 other things that I did bring up, and I've heard them tonight, and I think it's one, I think we should make a recommendation to the county board. I do think we should continue as a TTAB if we feel that it's appropriate to address this contracting issue. And I still think everything I've heard and learned, contracts should be available upon request.
From
The tow operators to the county administration, as opposed to just blanketing all of those, giving them everything.
Yeah, we don't oppose that. We don't oppose it. It's already that way, and it's that way with Fairfax County. And I'll speak after that because I think we discussed it, but we don't oppose that at all, the towers.
So I would add that to one of our recommendations if for us to vote on, to change the ordinance to say contracts are required upon request.
They already have them now. We have to give you our
Right.
I think that's the way it should have been in the first place. Yes, sir. Because
And
that's great. That's a great
the
idea.
the other one I'd like to revive, and this I presented this at the county board meeting, and we had talked about it at our TTAB in October prior to that, is the TTAB will review the appeal and make a recommendation to the county board within 7 to 10 days of receiving the appeal. This is 14.3-13D. And that, I think, Mike, to some extent addresses what you said. I mean, it's one thing if you're getting dinged because a sign is at this angle as opposed to that angle. That's a lot different than if you're getting 3 complaints a week. And I think you should be dinged if you're getting 3 complaints a week. I don't think you should be getting dinged if your signs are a little off. And that being the case, again, we try to, as a board, say, well, if you're going to revoke your permit, it would be nice for this body to be able to at least be involved, or at least to, be one last protection to the tow operator before. So I would like to revive that as well as a recommendation to amend 14.3-13D to include this language. The TTAB will review the appeal and make a recommendation to the county board within 7 to 10 days of receiving the appeal. The The TTAB so it was specific to an appeal. So if to see them before that goes to the board to make a decision to revoke a permit. Finally, the last thing that I proposed in my letter and then in the county board meeting, and I'm going to just fudge this one a little bit. Citizens Bill of Rights. Now, I'm not going to say we propose that because I think that's a whole can of worms. I think it's an interesting idea, but here's the deal. And I'm sorry, John, you're leaving because I want you. I'm not going to get personal here or upset. I'm just saying where I got towed is a very, it's a street, but it's also, I didn't realize it was a private lot. So I'm always, that's where our bank is. So I'm always, paying attention to that spot. And 2 times I've driven there and I've actually seen one of the tow operators getting ready to tow. And, and I casually rode down my window and I went to the tow operator. I said, you're towing that car? Obviously he was towing it, but the guy was really nice. And I actually asked him to call. I said, oh, I know your boss. And can you call him? And he actually, I don't know if John, he got through to you. I don't think he was able to, but he called you. And I thought, you know what, that's, man, if we just operated in that kind of context and there wasn't this perception that whether it's true or not, I don't know. I don't know if there's such thing as predatory towing. I don't know if there's spies out there. I don't know. But there is a perception sometimes that this is a mean business and I'm going to just look to take people away. I'm going to take their cars. And I thought that experience with your driver, it was good. He still ended up getting towed, but it still was, hey, you know what? He was still willing to, he was willing to listen. And I think that makes a huge, huge difference. If there's a sense of just good behavior out there, I think I'm going to be much more inclined as the citizen representative to say, yeah, you know what, I hear what you're saying on the fees. I do think on the fees, again, we know this is going to be a third rail. It's not like the county board's going to say, hey, we're ready to do it. I don't know if there's a way to make a recommendation that says, let's tier up the fees over time. I don't know if there's a way to propose it that's a little more palatable. I would like to, again, the condition for me to say, and my vote might not matter at the end. I mean, all we need is 2 out of 3, but for me to support an increase in tow fees, I almost feel like, you know what, there's just got to be good behavior out there. We got to get past, hey, I don't know how, if you need to sue the county or sue the state, that's your business. And that's, you're making a business decision that's important to you for reasons that are important to you. So I don't want to tread on those, but we need to have some kind of reconciliation that there's not all this bad will out there. And I don't know how we get there. But and that's why I say a citizen's bill of rights, does that get us there? Maybe not. but we need to, for me to feel comfortable about supporting a rate increase, I think there needs to just be a big dose of goodwill to.
And I agree. There's two sides to everything. Some of the public, we have videos of, one of my dispatchers got shot at. It was a DUI. The guy picked up the car. My dispatcher's handicapped. They went through the window and shot through the trailer. There's different circumstances, but if we get the raise, we can have kindness classes. If we get the raise, we're already on where we have to have this permit and registration. Our drivers, we're going to make sure they kill them with kindness, because we're going to lose our livelihood. And, we're going to have training. And I can tell you that I still have that. I tell my dispatchers every day, when you release a car, pretend that's your mother or your grandmother. They're going to be upset. They're going to get over it. We have films, we have cameras, but we have some people that come in there, they leave the bars at 2:00 in the morning. We could give them roses, wax the car and fill it up. They're still going to throw stuff at us, and they're still going to cuss us. It's just what it is. It's just, there's things that cannot be handled. And, I'm sorry about your situation. Whether you were in the right or in the wrong, that's why if we have this system where we have meetings and we can address the public and we can hear their side of the story and they can hear our side of the story. It worked in Fairfax. I hate to keep bringing Fairfax up, but it cleaned it up. If Fairfax, they have consumer affairs, they send us a complaint. It has to be answered within 10 business days. They send the customer a copy of our return. We get a copy of the customer's return, and they make the thing. They'll say, Al, I think you need to refund the $150, $185. As a citizen, it's getting addressed. You might not be happy with the decision, or you might be happy. And that's the only way I think that you can really clean it up and make sure that everybody is above board.
Well, and I think yeah. I mean, again, I've learned a ton by being part of this board, and if I wasn't on this board, all I would know are the Facebook posts and all those stories,
the bad publicity.
And I don't know. There is such thing as a bad tow. I'm assuming there are, and maybe a bad tow is just maybe a better term is an unjust tow, because I've heard you all talk about the grandma, and we have a friend who was her story is she was 8 months pregnant and had to run in somewhere real quick. So those are maybe they're by the letter of the law, those are legitimate tows. But if someone's, literally if someone's running in the store and is in there for 3 minutes and then there's then their car's gone, that to me suggests someone was watching that lot. Is that okay? Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if that's how the business works or not. I don't know if it's more, so I mean, how many tows are done a month in Arlington County? Do we have any? I mean, there's got to be 500, I don't know, 1,000. So let's just say there's 1,000 tows a month in Arlington County. Okay. But I would say, 90% of those are totally legit. 5% are maybe legit, but there's a hardship story that goes with it, a real hardship story. And maybe 5% are bad tows, where someone just was spying, hooked you up, and took you away. Is that so? That's it's that 5% that we gotta.
If you break the law, you break the law. If you radar that the police have, is that entrapment?
Yeah.
You were speeding.
Well,
you got caught. Maybe you were late for work, but you were still speeding. You don't know how many times we tow for a department store or CVS. We tow their car. It's big. The one we do in Falls Church. There's 40 signs up there. No towing. No parking. No parking. No parking. Unless you visit the CPS, they go to the bar next door. Yeah. We tow the car. We have to call it in right away. The car's called in at 7:15. they'll go to CVS and buy a pack of gum. I don't know what it's usually a pack of gum or cough drops every time and have a receipt for $7.18. You know, 5 minutes after the car was towed and it was called into the police. You know, it's just everybody, everybody has a problem, and sure, there's going to be good tows and bad tows. But if we address it as the county, the policeman, and the citizen and the tower, we can really, like I said, I hate to keep bragging about Fairfax, but we're killing it there. There's no issues. And, yeah, we're getting late. We're getting late. I'm sorry, but yeah, I apologize. So I guess we should go with,
Should we vote one at a time on each of these?
yeah, but I believe we should go with the sergeant's motion first, since he was. To the state. Mhm.
Yeah, do that first.
Make the motion. And
Okay, yeah.
again, one more time.
All right, one more time.
Thanks.
I'd like to make a motion to raise the fees to $210.
I'm going to abstain.
I second it.
All right, so what else?
Okay, second okay.
I second the motion.
Okay. Oh, we haven't voted yet.
He made the motion. I second it. So that's one, right?
I think you're just, okay. Is that the official vote then?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
So it passes.
Now your emotions,
So my motion on. No. So, yeah, it's
All-
the motion's
all-
approved and now all in favor.
all in favor, say aye.
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 I'll abstain.
Mr. Kennedy, your motions.
Motion to modify section 14.3 12B8 permits to require, rather than requiring all contracts be submitted to the county, contracts be submitted upon request.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. And then the third motion to amend section 14.3 13D appeal by the tow operator. This procedure be added. The TTAB will review the appeal of the tow operator and make a recommendation to the county board within 7 to 10 days of receiving the appeal.
A second also.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Again, I want to thank you for serving the short time you did, and it was very nice talking to you. And I want to thank you, Sergeant, for being the new member. Thank you for everybody that showed up, and I believe it was a great meeting, and I hope that we can get with the county board and convince them where they just don't do what they want to do like they've done the last 20 years, and at least they listen to the data that the State Corporation Commission put out. And thank you, and I'll adjourn the meeting.